Hey everybody, Brian from Innisfil Creek Honey, continuing our series on beekeeping in Barbados. In our backyard in Barbados, have our pre-painted hives and that set up down here. And the great thing about painted boxes or bee boxes and bottom boards and stuff is they make awesome tables. So the first thing I did is stack them together and make myself a little workbench. So now I have a workbench. Today's project is to put together all our little frames. So we have our bee boxes together and we have to make frames. So we have a 5-gallon pail there with a bunch of the parts of frames in there. And then we have our pre-waxed plastic foundation. And today I'm gonna take you along as I put frames together for the first time in about 15 years probably. So follow along. We'll put some frames together, sit down and chat, and have a great day. So your standard frame comes in a few components. We have the top rail up here. We have 2 side rails. We have a bottom rail, and we have the foundation. And then we have to assemble them together in a way that they assemble together in a sturdy, square manner. And they're durable and stack neatly in our boxes so the bees can build on them. So the components of them, and then they'll change a little bit as far as the way they look or anything, are a top rail. These frames are made to put together plastic. So some frames you put together will have a little tear-off tab here. Those ones with the tear-off tab are made for beeswax foundation. These frames are made just to put plastic foundation in. So this is the top rail. This is the bottom rail. Looks similar, just thinner. The side rails. So the side rails have a profile on them that is wider at the top, has some little ledges stripped down to the bottom, and that allows you to stack them together to give your bees space and then create a small little space at the bottom so they can't glue the whole frame together. Makes it easier to pull them in and out. And then you can have, these are deep frames, side wedges. You can have medium or shallow side wedges also. You'll also see ones with holes drilled in the sides. Again, these sides are made for plastic only, so they're made to put together plastic foundation in your boxes. If there's holes drilled in the side of them, that allows you to put wire or fish line between the frame to support the beeswax foundation. So these are the components of the frame. And then over there, we have a big pile of pre-waxed plastic foundation that we're gonna put into these frames to turn them into those. We need a few tools to start with, not that many. We need nails. These are the only nails I could find on the island. They're a little bigger than I wanted. They are a 1-inch, and then they're a smooth shank, where I would rather have had a spiral shank. They hold together a little better. But that's all I could find on Barbados with these nails. They're a 1-inch common nail. There we go. If you can find something that's a spiral nail, that'll work better. And I like a little smaller nail than this, a thinner nail. It doesn't crack the thin wood as easily. You'll need a tack hammer or a hammer. The smaller the hammer like this is nice with the smaller nails. Using a big hammer to put together these little frames is a bit of a pain in the butt. We need some glue. And again, any type of builder's glue or outdoor glue or any kind of white glue will suffice. I have a Q-tip here for a paintbrush to spread the glue around the frames. And those are the tools I have. At home, if I was gonna put these together, I would use my jig, my frame jig I have. And I would use my nail gun with my staples in them and staple them together a little differently. But because I'm only putting together 40 frames, I'm not gonna build a jig. I'm gonna do them the way I would do them if I had a couple beehives, and just put them together one at a time. So follow me along and we will put these frames together. So your frame has 4 components. We have the top rail. Top rail has a groove in the bottom of the top, and that's for your frame or your foundation to slide into. It has a top edge, and then it has some grooves in the side here. Those grooves line up with the top rail to seat that in there well, so that the side rail in. And then it has the tabs on the outside edge that sit on the inside of your box to hold your frames in. You have your bottom rail. Similar to the top rail, it has a groove in it to accept the foundation. It has a narrower edge here that fits in the bottom of your side rails. And that's it. And then you have your side rails. Your side rails have a top that is a little wider, has a shoulder on it, down to a thinner spot. And this is so when you put them together inside your frame or your box, those shoulders hold the center foundation so that when they build the comb on it, they have a B space of 3/8 of an inch. So that's why those are built that way. They're built that way so that if it was the same width all the way down, the bees would glue this all the way down with propolis to the bottom. It'd be harder to break them apart. So they put that shoulder in there to give the bee space at the top, hold that open so the bees don't fill that full of propolis, and it's easier to get your frames out and break them apart. So anyway, so what we're gonna do to start with is what I like to do is put 2 of the frames together, tops at the top, bottoms at the bottom. I get my glue, put a generous dollop. Like I said, I'm putting these together with nails that are not as, I guess, appropriate as what I like. So I'm unable to put them together exactly the way I normally do at home. I'm being quite generous with the glue. I'm hoping that the glue, or I'm assuming the glue will put them together, create a homogeneous joint, and with the nail it'll be fine. So a little bit of extra glue on there to make sure everything sticks together quite nicely. Flipped it over, put some glue on the bottom. So now I have a nice coating of glue on the top, a nice coating of glue at the bottom. I get the top rail, set the groove side down, and I slide it into the side rail like that. Flip it over, get the other side rail, flip it at the big piece at the top, slide that into the groove on the top rail. So now I have it put together with no bottom rail on it. I set that up, I grab a couple nails. I'm gonna set that nail right about there, trying to center it on the center of the side rail. So I'm putting that nail in the center of the top rail, lining it up with the center of the side rail. Then I tap that down there to nail the 2 joints together. So now they have 1 joint nailed together. I'll flip it around, get the next nail, stick it in the center. Tack that down there. Now those joints are in there. Now what I like to do is I like to flip it over and then take a piece of foundation and slide my foundation in. If I was building these at home in a jig, I would do it differently, but because I'm building them one at a time, I have the option of putting them together as I do them. And what this foundation does also is when I put this in here, I can make sure that the side rails are square. So I can bend them in or out to square them up with the edge of that foundation. I can use that foundation to square my frames up as I'm building them. So I put that on there. I grab my bottom rail. I make sure the groove is facing towards the foundation. And then I slide that bottom rail on top. Wiggle the foundation, make sure it's inside that groove. Then push everything together. Tap everything down a little bit. And then I grab a couple nails. And again, I take that nail and put it right in the center of that tab going into the side rail there. And I will tap that in there, flip it around, grab another nail, and do the same thing on this side. So there, we have a frame put together. Now I can wiggle that foundation around, and if I need to bend the frame a little bit to make sure it's square, I can wiggle it a little bit now before the glue dries and make sure that that frame is perfectly square, so when I put it in my box, it fits properly, it doesn't bind. So that's how you put a frame together. I'm going to throw this one in the box. I'll throw the camera on fast motion there, and then we'll finish the rest of these frames. I'll get back to you when I'm done. There we go. We have them all done. Quite an enjoyable half hour, 45 minutes. Took no time at all. Filled up 3.5, 4 boxes of frames, and was quite enjoyable. A nice way to spend 45 minutes of your morning. So we got them all together. It's the last one there, all complete. Our beehives, or our bee boxes, are sitting in the corner. We have our bottom boards and inner covers, our outer covers done. Now we just have to finish up. This is where we're putting them down here. So I pulled out, there's a bunch of broken concrete in there. So I pulled out a bunch of broken concrete. I'm gonna throw some dirt down there, or topsoil down there. I'm gonna go to the garden center. Try to get a couple of cool looking bushes and things to plant in front of the beehives. So what I want to do is set the beehives here, and then I want to have something in front of them to A, block the view from my neighbors, and B, make the bees fly out and up and over something so that they get above us, so we don't have any accidental stinging in us. If you plant something or put something in front of their door so they have to fly up to get over it, they tend to stay at that altitude and fly over whatever's in front of it. So if I can plant a nice bush here or a couple trees, small trees in front here, and aim the bees towards it, they should fly out, up and over the backyard and head over there somewhere before they notice people. Anyways, that's my next project. Tag along. We'll do some landscaping next. And then once that's done, we'll set up the beehives, and hopefully in the next week or so, we will have bees in those boxes. Anyways, everybody have a great day. Get the hell outside wherever you are. Enjoy your life and live the best life you can. Have a good one.